lightning and the thunder.
But after all these years, I'm still scared of thunder.
It's time for Middays with Thunder with Mitch Nelles, broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yeah, boy! This is Middays with Thunder. My name's Mitch Nelles, like the big voice lady, just let you know. And it is all good in the hood this Monday morning. Packers, check. Brewers, check. Badgers, check. WWE in town, check. Let's go. It is party time. 414-677-1250 is our Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Dial it up and text it up. Get involved early and often on this one because we're just all going to have fun together here on Middays with Thunder. We're going to grow the family today as we enjoy everything we saw on the field this weekend. We talked about it a little bit if you're listening to the Mason Crosby show, but no one, and I mean absolutely no one, was more impressive on the gridiron this weekend than our Green Bay Packers. I guess the Vikings and Bears have one last shot at that tonight. The Ravens tried to stake claim to that and then forgot how to play football for 10 minutes. And the Green Bay Packers, yes, I know they gave up a late touchdown on one of the best catches you've ever seen. Like, give that kid credit. Never heard of that guy before in my life, but give that kid credit for making that catch. But the Packers, with a dominant performance and just controlled that game for 60 minutes. And so often in 2025, whether it's football or basketball or baseball, teams control for 80% of the game, 83% of the game, 87% of the game, but they don't finish. They don't control the game for 100% of the game. And our Green Bay Packers said, we are not letting them back in. We are not fooling around. We are not messing around. Romeo Doubs is not going to mess up that onside kick. None of this nonsense is going to happen. And the Packers soundly defeat the defending NFC North champion Detroit Lions 27-13 in Micah Parsons' first ever game with the Green Bay Packers, where undoubtedly he made an absolute impact immediately and throughout that game on the field for our Green Bay Packers. And when he put that one in the air, we all know, and if you knew, you knew, we all acknowledged Micah Parsons with that one in the air. Joining me on Middays with Thunder, he is the one and only. He's geared up for the game tonight because his dad brainwashed him. We love you, Ted. He is Charlie Usen. Hey, Charlie.
How's it going? That was a fun game yesterday.
That was a fun game yesterday. And I loved that they just started off the game and took it right down the field and pitch and catch to everybody. Just, Dobbs making a nice catch, Wicks with a big catch. Kraft gets his helmet thrown and then comes back and makes the touchdown catch. And as much as we've talked, and we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk about everything. But the running game, how Josh Jacobs didn't really get going till the second half, but they still gave him the ball to keep the Lions honest. Everybody did their part yesterday. Everybody had a piece in it. When you complete less than 20 passes, but complete them to 10 different people, like that's a crazy spreading around of the ball that we'll see how that plays throughout the season. But when you win, I have a feeling that trumps the concept of I got to get mine. I got to get my catches. I'm the number one. No, I'm the number one, whatever. None of it matters. The Green Bay Packers take the ball down and score. They then hold the Lions. They then kick a field goal. They then give up a field goal. Then they scored a touchdown, 17-3 early. And we talked a lot last week about not getting down early. We saw what happened with the Lions games last year, and especially the Vikings games last year. where the Vikings really hit the Packers in the mouth early, and the Packers had chances to come back, but it was just too much when you get down early. And to see the Packers take the first drive of the game, the first drive of the year, and drive down and score a touchdown, it's like, all right, everything feels good. Everything feels right. Guys are high-fiving. Guys are having fun. But as fans, we've spent all this time talking about Jordan Love. And, of course, more recently, talking about Micah Parsons, talking about the wide receiver room, talking about LVN and Rashawn Gary and whether they're ever going to live up to the expectations we have for them. And at least for one day, again, check, 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 just check all the boxes for the Green Bay Packers. Charlie, you said it. It was fun. It was fun.
It was just, again, like you've been talking about, it felt like this was a consistent performance through and throughout the entirety of that game for 4 quarters. You knew what that Packers team was going to give you and that nobody could stop it. And that's exactly what, like you said, the Vikings and the Lions were able to do against the Packers last season, is control the pace of the game, control how they want to play without the defense or the offense making an impact in on that. Yep. And the Packers went out there and just did that. And the Lions looked just kind of punched in the mouth from the beginning, from that first drive, that first touchdown score, Tucker Kraft getting that first touchdown. The Lions just looked like they were not going to be able to get up from that. And the only way for them to win this game was to have scored first, to get that momentum first. And they just did not do that. And the Packers took full advantage of that by being consistent, by not having a lot of drops, having the ball be spread around, doing the things that we expected from this Packers team. And they went out there and did it. It's pretty cool to see.
And even on drives when the Packers didn't succeed, when they didn't score, it still looked like they were, for the most part, doing the right things. Like they weren't taking bad sacks. They weren't missing assignments. I know Jordan Love had that, that interception flurry that kind of got weird with the dropped one and then the caught one with the penalty. And it's like, there are things to clean up, right? It was by no means a perfect game. But it was, again, a complete game. Meanwhile, 5-2, 4-1, 10-2. I know we're all excited about our Green Bay Packers, but when you play against the trash, you got to take out the trash. And right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates are the trash, and the our Milwaukee Brewers took out the trash this weekend. 5-2, 4-1, and then early yesterday. It's like the Brewers did us a favor. The Brewers knew that it was Sunday, that it was Packers game, that was going on. So the Brewers said, you know what? We're going to get the beers out early, and you can hold our beer, and we're going to score 4 runs in the first inning, out another one in the second to go up 5-0. And and everybody can just focus on the Packers game. We got, what? Jacob Mizorowski, all 16 years old. What is he, 16, 17?
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
15, yeah. Jacob Mizorowski said, I know I've been a little more wild than I was my first few starts. I've given up the big hit here and there. I'm not going to give you 5. I'm not going to give you 6. I'm going to give you 7 innings. We're going to rest the bullpen even more. Meanwhile, Andrew Vaughn has gotten hot again, but not just Andrew Vaughn. If you were paying attention this weekend, and yeah, we'll talk about Bryce Strang all day, but if you were paying attention this weekend, Jake Mr. Bowers has drove his batting average from like 197 to 213, raised it 15, 16 points, multiple hits, I think, in every game that he played in. Even when he was pinch hitting, he was getting hits. He was absolutely on one. 2 for 4 yesterday, 3 runs scored, 2 RBI. They had him batting leadoff. He gave Sal the day off. And listen, Sal's banged up. Sal can use a day off because, again, it doesn't matter what our Brewers do September 8th. It matters what they do October 8th. So if a few days off for our Sal can make him healthier a month from now, and Jake Bowers can come in and back cleanup and have a multi-RBI game, all the power. Meanwhile, Andrew Vaughn only goes 4 for 5. And Andrew Vaughn was so hot for a month. And then he was almost so cold for a month. It was funny because, like, every so often he'd get, like, an RBI ground out. So he was still getting an RBI here and there. And we made such a big deal that he was, like, second in Major League Baseball in the month of July in RBI. And it kept going a little bit in August. But now all of a sudden, I was at the loss they had against Philly on Thursday when it was 2-0, where Vaughn still had 2 or 3 hits in that game. And Vaughn still is hitting the ball, goes 4 for 5 yesterday. Of course, Bryce Turang with a couple hits. Blake Perkins, who I don't think can hit his way out of a paper bag, he had a couple of hits yesterday. 14 hits. Just a complete, we talked about the Packers playing a complete game. The Brewers played a complete series in Pittsburgh. Jacob Mizorowski, 108 pitches. It's a little high for him. But he's getting a day off. He's going to be an extra day because they have the day off on Thursday. And Jose Quintana's pitching every 5 days so that Woody and Miz can both get days off because Quintana's that vet. He is him. But Mizorowski, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks. Not great, but in 7 innings, that's not bad. 8 strikeouts. His ERA is still 4.09, which is like a higher ERA than you would have expected. But he's still getting used to it. Joel Payamps gives him an inning yesterday. Craig Yoho finally with a clean inning for this team. 2 strikeouts, pitches the 9th. And the Brewers are separating themselves from the Chicago Cubs right now.
And that's really what you needed. I'd mentioned before that at 8.5 wins, it felt pretty confident to be a Brewers fan. You were sitting here saying, there's not really a lot that the Cubs can do to get back there.
They were up 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then last week it was 5.
Yeah.
And then last week when it hit 5.
I think for a minute it was 4.5.
Yep.
Yeah.
It got down to 4.5, and 4.5 doesn't feel nearly as safe as 8.5 does. It's still kind of a big lead, especially late in the season here. You're not expecting to blow a 5-game lead over the team in second place. Right. Problem is the Cubs are a really good baseball team. I'll keep reiterating that. They're the 3rd best team in the National League right now.
Absolutely.
Tied for the 3rd best team. And the Brewers somehow just still find ways like this weekend to go out there and prove that they are still the number 1 team despite having the number 3 and number 4 team right behind them.
The Brewers are 89-55. That's 143 games. They've got 19 left. If they go 9-10 the rest of the way, which is not great, right? That's not great. They will end up. What did I do here? 98-65. That doesn't make sense. What did I do? Can they go 89-55. They've got 19 games left. 9-10. What? I did something wrong. What is wrong with my math? They played 144 games.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm sorry. They've got 18 left. So let's say they go 8-10 the rest of the way to get to that magic 97 number, which would be a franchise record. So they go 97-65. The Cubs have to go 16-3 to catch them.
And this is not happening.
I'm not saying it's over, but it's pretty darn close, right? It's pretty darn close. Meanwhile, the Brewers still with a 5.5-game lead over the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's the next team that we are watching as the Brewers try to get that 1 seed in the National League. Remember, 1 and 2 get the buys. 1 and 2 get the rest. You talk about Christian Yelich's back. You talk about Woody coming back after an injury. You talk about Mizorowski and he's never pitched this many innings before in a season. You talk about even Freddie, who pitches, who's a horse, who goes out there every 5 days and gives you 98 pitches, but only 5 innings. You're telling me, giving him a couple extra days, he had 1 extra day of rest, and he's been a different pitcher since he had 1 extra day of rest a month ago that Pat Murphy gave him, and that's been the world of difference. So all sorts of Packers talk, all sorts of Brewers talk. It is absolutely a positive weekend here in Wisconsin. The Badgers win 42-10. They were up 14-10 at the half. They explode a little bit in the second half, make some big plays. Yeah, it's against Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, they've got Alabama coming up this Saturday in Tuscaloosa. 11 a.m. game. That game is going to be on, what is that on? That is on ABC. That's the 11 a.m. game on ABC. Before that, the Packers turned around very quickly, have a game Thursday night. Commanders at Packers. That's on Amazon Prime, and locally that's going to be on Fox 6. So you don't have to have Amazon Prime to watch it. But you can watch it on Fox 6. You can also watch it on Amazon Prime if you want. The Brewers are in Texas for a 3-game series starting tonight. Jose Quintana at Jacob Latz. Jacob Latz is he's a lefty, so we'll see what the lineup looks like against a lefty. He just got transferred from the bullpen to I think this is his 4th start he's making. Yeah, so he's probably not going to go too deep into the game. He's actually pitched decently. And the Rangers are decent. Like, they're not good. They are 74-70 though. I mean, they're a 500 team. They're actually only 1.5 games out of the 3rd playoff slot.
Mm-hmm. They're making a late playoff.
Yeah,
this
so
year.
they are fighting for something. So those are games we'll keep our eye on. The leadoff show today with Tommy Wirtz will be from 6 to 7. And that'll be, we'll be keeping our eye on the Brewers game as well as Monday Night Football, of course, Vikings and Bears. And, of course, Monday Night Raw at Fiserv Forum tonight. Lyra Valkyria, the first ever women's intercontinental champion. She'll be on the show later. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, was supposed to join us next. He's got he ran into a little issue. I don't know how much I want to talk about his personal business, but I did tell him that I could make a phone call for him. Like I have strong words for people at times that I can speak up if needed.
I don't believe that. You're like one of the nicest people I've ever met.
So I'm nice, except for when I'm not treated nice or fairly. Okay. And what the example I'll give is, I won when I married. Like, I won. Like, not just my wife, but her whole family. Like, people talk about their in-laws. My mother-in-law and I are best friends, and my father and I are very close as well. I'm married into a beach house on 30A on the Panhandle in Florida. That's where I've taken vacations from this show before and been there. And now I just need to figure out how to get the equipment down there because I want to do the show. Like, whenever I'm down there, I'm like, why am I listening to Mason and Tommy? I should be on with Mason and Tommy. I'm just like, we're not going to the beach yet. We're just hanging out, or, and it gives me an excuse to not have to watch. I mean, the kids don't need watching anymore. They're big, but still,
it's still an excuse.
Yeah, it's still an excuse to get away from everybody. But we did, post-pandemic, we all kind of moved down there during pandemic and realized, like, it was a 3-bedroom plus a bunk room, 3-bathroom, but there was space to build down. We hadn't had any water, hadn't had any flooding, knock on wood, knock on all the things. So we hired a contractor, and I was kind of, because I was in between full-time jobs, I was kind of working with the contractor, and he was just a mess. I mean, like, he didn't do anything for 3 months. Then we finally got him rolling, and, like, he kept coming up with excuses. And so I was the heavy. Like, and there were times I was like, Rick, you get this done now or we're pulling it. Like, we'll go in another direction. Like, we hired you to give you the shot. Mm-hmm. Like, as an independent contractor who lives in the area, we could have gone with the big company, which quoted us 30 grand more, but at the end of the day, probably would have been 30 grand less because of how many things he had to add on and didn't really know what he was doing. But we had a lot of hard conversations. I'm all about the hard conversation. I like that radical candor, as they call it, or those hard truths. Obviously, I'm not as good when people say them to me. I don't love them when people tell me my shortcomings, but I have no problem telling other people their shortcomings, as long as it's true, as long as it's honest, and as long as it's done in a theme of, like, but let's get better together. Like, how can I help? Even last night with Little Rumble, like, she wouldn't do her homework, and it was a subject I'm really good at, so I could have helped her, and she knew. And her older sister is taking a similar subject, and I helped her. So obviously, I can help. If I can help the 10th grader, I can help the 7th grader. And for whatever reason, she didn't want to help. She didn't want to do the homework. And finally, this morning, I was like, we're going to have to sit down and talk about this, because we can't, like, you can't just go in and recess and meet with your teacher every day. Like, you can do that today. That's fine. But, like, I can help you and I can help teach it to you, and let's get to a better place together. So as long as it gets to a better place, I'm all about collaboration. Ask Sparky, how many times do I text Sparky, hey, how can I help? Mm-hmm. And he's like, Mitch, leave me alone. And I'm like, no, that's cool. Let's go. I'll stay in my lane. But if you need me, I've been in the business for a minute. Yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'll stick with kind.
I feel like what I've learned in a year and a half here is that nobody ever really knows what they're doing here. It's just kind of go and just do radio, man. Yeah.
Right. We put it together. We have each other's backs, and we just keep moving forward. And exactly. That's what the Green Bay Packers did yesterday. They moved forward. So we've got more Packers talk coming next. And I'm going to ask you, can one person make this big of a difference? Can one person get Packers fans to not sell their tickets? Can one person get the offense to have the confidence that they can do whatever they want because the defense is there? Can one person make a difference that two underachieving pass rushers throughout their career all of a sudden can hit their potential? Can one person make a difference that it doesn't matter if one of your starting cornerbacks is out isn't even suiting up for the game, but that cornerback is going to shut down two fantastic wide receivers because one person is out on the field? Can one person, and you know I'm talking about number one, acknowledge him, Micah Parsons, can one person make this big of a difference? 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Leave your comments on the YouTube, right in the dugout, right there at the Fan Milwaukee. The phone number is the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Shoot me a message at Thunder MKE. Shoot us a message at the Fan Milwaukee on all the socials. Can one person make this big of a difference that the Packers can go out and dominate the Detroit Lions? My name's Mitch Nelles. This is Middays with Thunder, 1250 a.m., 105.7 FM The Fan, free on the Odyssey and iHeart apps. You know, that's what we do here. I totally get it, period. I was the manager for my in-laws' renovation in Florida, and the amount of phone calls I had with this dude and our general contractors was nuts, period. So I get it. The contractors are running late, so Peter's like flummoxed. How's your weekend? When you work, can you like keep an eye on games?
Yeah, we have TV all over.
Right.
We have 10 bartenders at any given point usually. So it's
Oh, wow.
kind of like if somebody else is doing everything else, I can just sit and watch for a little bit.
Okay. What else?
Yesterday we went to Beth's family reunion on
Oh.
the mom's side.
How many people?
There's like 50 people there.
Where was it?
Illinois. So like right where her house is in Lombard, they were like a park across the street. Basically.
I was in Vernon Hills Saturday night.
Oh, nice.
My daughter, one of her camp friends, was having a birthday party. So one of the other dads, there 3 of them went from Milwaukee. So one of the other dads. All right, I need a witness. I need a witness here, Charlie. We did not set this up on purpose.
All right.
Right?
That was
like,
completely on accident.
This is the song that just came up in the rotation.
I think sometimes it just knows. It just knows who's running the board. It knows who's on air.
It does. Part of me feels like maybe we shouldn't have this song in rotation because we should save it. Like when I call into Sparky, we should play this song. Like if I call in, whether it's a pre-planned call or whether I'm just calling up and like, arguing or talking or whatever.
Well, we could do both. I think it's nice that it's in the rotation. It makes us think of you whenever you're on air, whenever it comes on. So, it's fun. I like having a little bit of both.
All right. I'm posting on my personal Facebook profile right now, and we'll put it on my page. We'll put it on Thunder MKE as well. Packers fans, can one player make this big of a difference? Difference has 2 F's, not 3. That'd be weird. All right, let's hit next and let's hit post. There we go. It's up on Facebook, so it's real now. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line for you to chime in, for you to be a part of the program, for you to be a member of the family. Remember, we are creating a list similar to how a list used to exist a long time ago on one of our favorite midday shows here in the city of Milwaukee that no longer exists. But we are going to steal that because I love the idea, not of a list, but of family. Yes, I know it's one game. How many games did the Packers play this weekend, Charlie?
Just one, as far as I know.
They played one game?
Just one, as far as I know.
And how many games have they played this season?
Just one. Yeah,
just one.
Just one.
Okay. All right. So just one game this season, just one game this week. But how many games did they win?
Just one, though. Just one.
They won that one?
They won that one.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got to think about that.
Why do you need to think about that? I think it's pretty simple.
Here's Goff from the pocket. Got away from Parsons. Swings it over to Gibbs. Gibbs nowhere to go. And Van Ness has his second tackle in the first 3 plays and a loss of 2.
Micah Parsons wins inside against a perennial all-pro in Sewell right here. And I can tell you, this is the difference in getting that first down or not, because Goff was about to throw the dig route right up on the inside right. But as soon as Parsons moves him off his spot, didn't have the time. That is what we call a difference maker.
You like that? That is what we call a difference maker from Tony Romo. Can one person make that big of a difference for our Green Bay Packers? Micah Parsons, and we all saw it, right? His first play, he goes out onto the field. The crowd goes nuts. I know I feel like I've heard a lot this morning about how much Hawaiian Blue was in the crowd. I didn't feel like I noticed it as much watching. And maybe I wasn't particularly looking for it. But it did seem like the Packers crowd itself was louder than it's been the past couple seasons. I think the Packers crowd has, for whatever reason, become a sit on your hands kind of crowd. I don't think it has anything to do with the 2 different ticket packages. I think it's the part of it is like that expectation. Well, we expect to win. News flash for all of you. And I'm going to talk about this with Lyra Valkyria from the WWE later in the show. European crowds, even Man U, even Man City, even Tottenham, even Liverpool, even Arsenal, even Real Madrid, even all the top teams, they don't sit on their hands. I don't know why soccer fans are such better sports fans than any American, but it seems like they are in terms of the ability to cheer. Maybe we as Americans are just naturally smarter, and so we are analytically watching the game in a way that like isn't a fanatical way where we're just cheering at the game. I actually am into this topic as a bigger topic. I don't want to get into it today, but that is a topic I have on my mind. Like, why aren't like at Bucks games, why aren't we just going nuts the whole game? Why are European basketball games, they're going nuts the whole game and we're not? Like, why don't we go more? I know baseball is kind of a slower sport, but why aren't we up? If we're winning in the 9th and McGill's pitching, why do we stand up with 2 strikes and 2 outs? Why aren't we standing up the whole top of the 9th? and just getting loud like we will in the playoffs. But why don't we do that during the regular season for all our sports?
I think the biggest thing is, and like you said, you want to get into this later, so I'll just like make it simple, but there's so much more big time sports that are available for American sports fans. And I think because of that, because
you are soccer and that's it.
Exactly. In Europe and some of these other countries, yes, they have other professional sports, but they don't carry the same kind of pull as soccer.
True.
In America, it's the big four: baseball, football, basketball, and even hockey at points.
Yeah, it's like
draws the attention of the entire country. Exactly. 3.5. Because you get Stanley Cup playoffs is when people really start watching.
And there are some markets specifically that get into it. And I get that. And it's like they have songs and they have chants. And it's like, I mean, I know.
And American sports used to have that.
Right.
Where'd they go?
I don't know. Like, at Eagles games, they still spell the team's name. At Jets games, they still spell the team name. If the Cubs win, the Cubs sing a song.
Go Cubs, go, baby.
But they don't like sing it in the seventh. I mean, we do roll out the barrel here in Milwaukee. That's like a Milwaukee tradition.
But last time I was at a Brewers game, not that many people were singing along to it.
Oh,
I love screaming roll out the barrel.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do at the game.
As you should.
It felt like not as many people were into it as it used to be.
All right. Well, let's get back to the topic at hand. This is a great topic. I actually think this is a great roundtable topic that literally like me, you, Tommy, Sparky, and Mason should all get into. Andy too. And when we do like a big extravaganza or something like that, because I'd actually like to hear everybody's thoughts on it. This is Middays with Thunder, 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan. We're free on the Odyssey and iHeart apps and free on YouTube as well. Can one person make this big of a difference? We saw when Micah Parsons came onto the field, the crowd went nuts. We saw that first play from Micah Parsons where he got pressure on Jared Goff. We saw numerous time and time again on Sunday where he was double teamed and still made an impact. We saw when he wasn't able to get in, but maybe LVN or maybe Wyatt made a big play. What's the other? Wooden made a big play. Gary made a big play at the end, and we saw what it meant. And then we also saw this one that was just like literal celebration party.
2nd and 10. As Goff's being chased by Parsons. Look out! He's got him! His first sack as a Green Bay Packer.
They got a twist, another twist. You go up, under, and look at the effort, the speed, the closing ability, the bend. Micah Parsons, you're in Green Bay, and they are happy.
Number one for number one.
And what a video game moment. I mean, first of all, what an exciting moment for everyone there to see that sack. And on TV, it perfectly played out because he was running toward the screen. He was running toward the near sideline. And just like the second Goff got pressure and started running, you saw Parsons from behind him and somebody hit the turbo button. Right? Somebody hit the turbo button because he exploded at a speed unseen before at Lambeau. Somebody wearing a Packers jersey from that position, and he just exploded to Goff. And thank you, Jared Goff, for holding on to the ball because you should have thrown the ball away. I was waiting for him to ruin the moment while it was happening. He just held on. It was almost like he was in on it. Like a Brett Favre, Michael Strahan moment where he was in on it with the fans that I'm going to take this sack for the fans of Green Bay so people don't hate me and I can get out of here alive. It was a video game moment, Charlie, when Micah just put on those burners.
Every Friday on Wisconsin Sports Daily, right here on The Fan from 2 to 5, hosted by Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, we do a segment called Confident, Concerned, and Curious. My confident this week was Micah Parsons was going to have a sack. Like, I had no doubt in my mind that he was going to go out there and have a moment like this, like we saw. And it was just really cool to actually see it play out. And with that type of just presence, with people knowing that you're going to go out there and get a sack, it feels like I wasn't the only one that was confident about that. Felt like a lot of people were confident about that. You had to think that the Lions were a little bit confident about that, and just kind of like the fluster he put that offensive line into. Yes. I mean, the biggest thing in that first clip that you played is that when the announcer says that Parsons beat Sewell on an inside move, that should never happen for an all-pro offensive tackle.
Right.
You always want the guys to beat you on the outside, which means that Sewell was over planning, Micah Parsons got in his head and made him jump set Micah Parsons just so Micah Parsons could go right inside.
Yes.
It's that easy. That's how much of an impact he's having, not only on his team, but on the other teams too.
I love it. I know I saw some sound from after the game where Micah Parsons after the game said, or toward the end of the game said to Sewell, said, hey, I guess this is it from now on. It's me and you. This is the new rivalry. I'm here. So let's go. And I love that. I love that.
Cool.
It's confidence, but it's also
respect.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's an element of camaraderie there. Hey, we're going to be going at it. Let's get it. Packers fans, can one player make this big of a difference? Benny writes in, yep, impacts everyone around them. Tony writes in, a player like Micah can push a team over the top in the right situation. I personally think he wasn't utilized properly in Dallas. And Darren writes in, yes, look at what happened after Reggie arrived. Effort like number one brings will lift the effort of all around him and make them better too. Just a sampling of the comments. What do you got over there, Charlie?
So just checking out on the Fan Milwaukee Twitter over here.
Love the Twitter.
Because we are posting this question also on Twitter. We don't have any responses yet.
Okay. All right.
Just looking, but we will wait and we'll come back to that later.
Absolutely. So get to @theFanMilwaukee, @ThunderMKE on Twitter. We will get to your responses. Can one person make this big of a difference? It was, and we saw it, right? And I think we didn't just see it on defense. I think we saw it on offense also. I think in terms of confidence, this is a skilled offensive team. And what we're going to see from this team, I believe this entire season, is different people every week. Listen, none of us knew Zach Tom was going to get hurt. So none of us knew, you're going to help me on this. Kennard, what's this? Is it the right tackle who came in?
Yep. Kennard,
the kid from Philly who they got.
Yes.
Literally the first three plays he was in, he had pancake blocks and sprung runs. And they were, Tony Romo was talking about that as well. I feel like we're going to have week in and week out different names, different players who step up, but it's not all, I don't want to say all, but a lot of it is predicated on the presence of having a guy like Micah Parsons on this team, having his effort, seeing what type of motor he has, and getting everyone into a place where they want to show up for each other. Because when your best players play at maximum effort, you're going to want to do the same. It's a little bit like Christian Yelich. To see the injuries that Christian Yelich fights through, the back, the knee, whatever it might be, to know that defensively he's not the same player he used to be, but everybody sees his work ethic in that clubhouse. And so there's no way that Churio and Contreras, last year, Contreras and Adames aren't going to let other people work that hard too. But now with Churio and Terang and Frelick, they all are showing up for each other. That's kind of what we saw. It's only 1 week. But if this team can also harness the power of friendship, if we are buying green and gold t-shirts, like we are currently buying the blue and yellow t-shirts, the power of friendship, and they can all lift each other up, I'm excited for what this team can do.
It's going to be an awesome season. Just based off what we saw from one game here, it's going to be like the Milwaukee Brewers, where I think they exceed a lot of people's expectations. Now, the only thing that I get a little bit worried about, and it's not even that big of a worry, is that when you bring up the fact that we're going to see a different guy every week step up, no matter what, if it's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball, it just kind of felt like that's what the Green Bay Packers were relying on last season too, especially in that wide receiver room. And I don't know how much of an impact Micah Parsons has specifically in the wide receiver room. And I think we had a good week from everybody touching the ball this week.
We did.
But at the same time, again, I just don't know how well they're going to be able to keep that up, especially with the limited number of throws that Jordan Love is seemingly going to get. 22 is not a lot in this game here. And I think that as we move forward here, guys getting different opportunities is really cool for a young team that has no expectations. This is now a Packers team who, yes, is still a young team, but has expectations.
That's a good point. Joe writes in, it was a team effort, but definitely there's a spark in the locker room. David says, yes, number one can. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers podcast, is going to join us coming up. My name is Mitch Nelles. This is Middays with Thunder. The Packers win. The Brewers sweep. The Badgers win. And WWE's in town tonight. Man, could it get any more thunder than that? This is Middays with Thunder on the Fan. Yeah. That's Alive by Pearl Jam, everybody. My name is Mitch Nelles, aka Thunder. Middays with Thunder here on The Fan. Sports Talk on The Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. We are rejoicing in a Packers victorious weekend, as well as a Brewers sweep, a Badgers win, and the WWE in Milwaukee tonight. Joining us now on Middays with Thunder, he is founder of The Leap. He is Locked On Packers podcast. Peter Bukowski, how happy are you today?
Well, it makes my life on social media a lot easier. I'll tell you that.
Either thing's got to be really good or really bad, right? No, nothing in the middle.
Exactly. One of those like 24-16 wins against the Cardinals in week 6. Like that's not really moving the needle for me the rest of the week.
No. All right. So, yesterday's game, we're trying not to overreact, but I am absolutely overreacting. I'm excited. My question of the day, at least to start the show, was, can one person make this big of a difference? So I'll throw that out to you right away. Can one person make this big of a difference, what we saw on the field yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, unequivocally, yes. It's not an overreaction to say. I mean, it's really not. Watch him on the field. Watch Micah Parsons and the difference that he makes. And this is not new for Packer fans. Certainly Packer fans who have been following this team for as long as you and I have. We remember Reggie White. We remember Charles Woodson. We remember Clay Matthews at his apex prime. Remember 2010 Clay Matthews? In the span of a month, they got 2 coaches fired and they like knocked 3 quarterbacks out of games. Like, that's how dominant Clay Matthews was. We haven't seen the Packers defense. Maybe that Zadarius Smith. Remember that Zadarius Smith 2019 game against the Vikings when he single-handedly beat Minnesota, won the division in that game? That was the last time we've seen the defense in a big game against a real offense look like this. And Micah Parsons, every time he's out there, I mean, the crowd, he got a pop like this was wrestling. Every single time he walked out onto the field, the crowd was going wild like they just heard, the Rock's music hit the arena. It was wild.
I thought the same thing, Peter. Like, when he first came out, the place went nuts, and it was just as if, somebody's music hit. Absolutely.
They need like the Stone Cold Steve Austin glass break or something.
Oh, yes.
Every time that like on third down, just let the glass break and the music drop. Like, wouldn't that just be electric in the stadium? Even if you didn't know the reference, it would get you going. Like, it gave me chills. Even Jaden Reed was like, it gave him chills. He's an NFL player. He's played in big time Big Ten games. And the pop that Micah Parsons got, Matt LaFleur mentioned it. It was like a playoff game just because Micah Parsons was out there. And credit to the Packer fans that actually went to the game and didn't sell their tickets to Lions fans. Every time Micah Parsons went out onto the field, the crowd erupted. Just his subbing into the game. I can't remember ever having seen that in a game. I thought maybe we'd get something similar for Matthew Golden. Like, every time he goes out there, the crowd gets a little more excited. There's a little bit more of a buzz. This was like, the fans went nuts every time he went out on the field.
All right. So how do we keep this energy, Peter? Because I actually talked about this.
You play in 3 days, Mitch. That's what you do. You play in 3 days.
Can we play every 3 days? No, nobody wants that. That's
no.
It's
a little bit like, remember CC Sabathia? Of course you remember CC Sabathia.
Yeah, of course.
And he pitched on 3 days rest for like 6 straight starts,
which was nuts
at that season. It might have to feel like that a little bit here. Now they do have a little bit of the break. I think this week you can keep the energy up. The question is like, okay, week 3 off 10 days rest against the Browns. Can you keep the energy up for those games? And I think that's where you're going to test the mettle of a young team like this, because I think they're going to get up for the big games, and they needed this one. I said this a couple weeks ago on your show. They needed this game against the Lions to show what were the 2 problems they had last year. It was big games against the best teams, and it was the division. 1-5 in the division, the most meaningless stat I've ever heard. But that was true. And they get both of those wrapped in one in week 1. And they go out there and they put the bang thing on the Detroit Lions.
They did. And talking about the divisional games, especially last year, the thing that really plagued them was starting slow. We all remember that Vikings game. The Vikings came into Lambeau and the Packers actually came back and had a chance, but they were so far behind. How important was it to take the ball on that opening kickoff, drive down, end it with a Kraft touchdown?
I think it was an enormous tactical mistake from Dan Campbell to give the ball to the Packers offense to start that game. I just think we lose Ben Johnson if we're the Lions. You're putting in a new offensive coordinator. If I'm aggressive Dan Campbell, I'm culture guy Dan Campbell. I want to say, you know what?
Take the
this
ball.
Is what we do. We're going to keep the train rolling. We're going to take the ball in Lambeau first possession. I think he coached tactically one of his worst games. And I think those coaches out there showed that they've got some growing pains that they're going to have to work through. If you weren't ready to go, Matt LaFleur and this offense, after 8 months of wondering, of questions, of preparing for this moment, if you didn't have man beaters ready, you knew exactly what you were going to get. This was a paint by numbers offense and defensive performance. It was like the comparison I made on my show was you buy a cookbook from like the French Laundry, or you buy the like, the Daniel Boulud cookbook or something, and then you try and do it. And it's like, I can get all the same ingredients. I can follow the directions to a T, but it's not going to taste the same. It's just not. And I think that's what we saw from the Detroit Lions. Having that continuity for the Packers was so valuable. And they had a plan. They said, we're going to get in big personnel with 2 tight ends on the field. We're going to keep your linebackers out there. And we think our guys are going to get open against your man coverage. And they were right. The three straight third down conversions to open that drive, including a 3rd and 9. That throw to Tucker Kraft, they got exactly the coverage they wanted. They knew exactly what it was going to be. And Love rips that sucker into coverage. Tucker Kraft makes the catch. And then you're off and rolling, a 3 and out. Like the game never felt in doubt after that, did it? I mean, it really didn't.
No, I totally agree. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, co-founder of The Leap, here with us on Middays with Thunder. So besides the obvious, besides number one, who I love when he put the one up after the sack, because I said, if you know, acknowledge him, Micah Parsons. Who else stood out to you? Who maybe exceeded some of your expectations on the field yesterday?
I mean, I had high expectations, but for Edgerrin Cooper to come out and just look like an all-pro day one, led the team in tackles, was so good over the field. His ability to chase down plays, every position he was in. I think he was targeted 8 times in coverage and was credited with what Pro Football Focus calls 5 stops. So a negative play for the offense. It was like he allowed like 8 or no, I think it was 3 or 4 yards in coverage for the day.
I was going to say, Gibbs, go ahead and catch it, but you're going to get crushed by Cooper the second you do.
19 touches for 50 yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. And that is Edgerrin Cooper.
That's crazy.
And I thought Quay Walker played really well in this game. There was the one play in coverage where he, like, I still think in zone coverage, he needs a map sometimes, but coming downhill, he looks so much more comfortable reading his keys, coming downhill and seeing it and making those plays. He had that great play on the screen where he sees it all the way, splits the blockers, and makes the tackle in the backfield. How many times did we see guys on Sunday make a tackle and there's 2 more Packers right there, and then 2 or 3 more Packers right there in pursuit? It was a wave of green every time to the ball carrier.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I was watching a couple videos this morning about what it means when a team swarms to the football and how many teams don't pursue. I mean, Mason talked about it a little bit on the Mason Crosby show earlier this morning, that like there were definitely times that Aiden Hutchinson was not swarming, was like, there was a play and he was just kind of like watching the play. He did not, and granted, like sometimes you can't play, William Contreras is the poster child for this, right? Like he's been given permission by Pat Murphy to not run every ground ball out because he's catching 130 games. He's got to save his legs. We get it. But like the fact that it seemed like every time there was a short pass or a run by Detroit, again, to your point, 5-6 guys swarming around that. And I think that's going to lead to punching the ball out as well. Like, I think that's going to lead to turnovers, which it didn't necessarily yesterday. I think that's a big step for this Packers defense.
Well, and I think it helps. You lose Kenny Clark and you think, okay, how is the depth of this front going to be on the interior? Devontae Wyatt ends a drive, 4th down, gets a sack. Colby Wooden had a near safety on a tackle for loss where they just forgot to block him. And I think it is such a mental strain on offenses to have to account for all the things that this defense is doing. The Packers now with Lucas Van Ness, who I thought was awesome on Sunday, with Rashawn Gary, who I thought was awesome on Sunday, and Micah Parsons. Now, I mean, Jim Nantz made the joke, or I think it was Mike Tirico made a joke about in the Ravens game, but it was true in the Packers game too. It was like hockey lines at times when they can just throw waves of guys at you. And all of a sudden, everyone gets to be the best versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Peter Bukowski joining us here on The Fan. Follow him on Twitter. He's at Peter_Bukowski. So let's talk about Jordan Love for a little bit, because it's so easy to talk about Micah Parsons. It's so easy to talk about the impact
and fun.
And he really did. And it's fun, right? It's fun to talk about Jordan Love too. I mean, Jordan Love had a clean, he had that weird, what was it, third quarter where he had the missteps. But besides that, a clean game and a fun game and kind of almost like a casual game. Like he had time and he just went out and he made some throws.
This is what healthy Jordan Love looks like. And I think the protection deserves so much credit. Chris Brooks, Josh Jacobs in pass protection. I just looked this up via True Media. Against the blitz, Jordan Love went 8 for 9 for $128, 1 touchdown, 5 first downs. That is a near perfect passer rating, 155.8. He just was comfortable and was finding his guys consistently. They had answers for everything that the Lions were trying to throw at them defensively. Now, are they going to have those answers every week? No, Jordan Love is going to have to manufacture some stuff. At times, the pass protection might not. They've already got injuries. Zach Tom's got the hip. Aaron Banks dealing with his injury, but they've got the depth to make this all work. I thought Darian Kennard in the second half.
I thought he was great.
Started moving bodies in the run game. I mean, and this was someone that if Howie Roseman had made that move, and you see in the second half he goes out and is doing that, everyone's going, Howie did it again. But because it's Brian Gutekunst, he doesn't always get the same sort of credit for this. And because Howie was the one that traded him, but they are in a really good position here, I think, to keep this going. And Love, you mentioned it was a casual day. If he's going to be 16 of 22 for 188 and 2 touchdowns all year, do you think he's going to care at all if he doesn't have, 4,500 yards passing by the end of the year? No, he's not going to care at all. Be efficient. He led the league in big time throw rate this year. Or in week 1, 17%. So almost 1 in 5 of his throws were what Pro Football Focus categorized as big time throws. He had an average depth of target over 10 in this game. I mean, they're chucking the ball down the field, and it was accurate. Right. It could have been even more if Jaden Reed catches that third down sideline pass, which was right through the wickets. That stuff, it would look even better. He did everything they needed him to do. I think they only threw the ball 5 times in the second half. Like, they came out firing, and then they didn't really need him to do much. But in the second half, when they needed it, they marched right down the field. They got the touchdown to seal the game. That's if Jordan Love is that guy, I mean, they might win 13, 14 games this year.
Peter Bukowski joining us here, 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan. We're free on the Odyssey app, and we're live right now on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee. You can join us on YouTube. You can post in the chat there, or just watch our, just famously handsome mugs if you want to do that as well. 16 completions to 10 different receivers. Yeah. As a fan, I love that. My only concern is at some point, I think you just mentioned it. If Jordan Love goes 16 for 22, 188 and 2 touchdowns, he would take that every week, especially if they're winning.
No doubt.
Are the receivers going to be okay with 10 different receivers, 16 completions? Is that something that winning cures?
Yes.
Or does ego get into that at some point on any level?
I think winning cures a lot of it. It doesn't cure all of it, right? And so Jaden Reed is playing hurt. I'm sure he wants the ball. Dontavian Wicks is playing for a contract. Romeo Doubs in the last year of his deal. And by the way, it looks like Christian Watson's going to come off PUP like as soon as he is eligible to come off PUP.
Crazy.
And that's going to convolute this even further. We didn't even see Savion Williams out there much, but the one time he got out there, he got a designed play for him. So this is an embarrassment of riches. I think, to your point, though, it's not the bigger question to me is not about ego. It is about on 3rd and 8 in a big spot when they need to have it. What is the play? What is the call? Who are you throwing it to? Because on that first drive, third and long, they hit Dontavian Wicks. The second one, it's 3rd and medium, it's Matthew Golden. The third one is 3rd and 9 in the red zone, and it's Tucker Kraft. I think that's a fine formula, but against the Eagles, against defenses that are gonna show some different things, or against defenses that might have a little bit more pressure, are there going to be tighter windows to throw into in the playoffs? I think the answer is yes. And so, do you have a guy that you trust? They didn't even have to throw to Romeo Doubs on 3rd down. He's normally their 3rd down guy. They didn't even have to do that in this game, but he got the big plays, right? The big post down the field, the 50-yarder. He got the 20-yarder on the first drive on a play action shot. I think as long as they're winning, that's going to be fine for them. The question is, if they go on a 3-game losing streak, God forbid, then does the concern start to seep in there? I guess we'll see.
And to your point, Matthew Golden gets a couple catches, but I think a lot of people believe Matthew Golden could be one of those guys as well. They didn't really need him to be that, and he's still a rookie, so he's still learning.
He's got a block.
Is right? He's got
a block. That's the problem. There were a couple times when he's out there and they need him to block just a corner. You don't have to block a defensive end. You don't have to block a linebacker. Just block your guy. And he couldn't do it. And I said during the Eagles game, people were mad about it, but I was like, just watch Devontae Smith. He's 6 foot, 145 pounds. Not really, but that's not that far off. Right. And he's out there MFing corners.
Fighting.
Watch Matthew Golden. Please go watch Devontae Smith blocking tape. You can do that. I promise you can do that. And this is no block, no rock for Matt LaFleur. If you can block, you'll be out there. That he needs to get that part. I know that seems weird and seems silly, but they have enough other guys who can do it. So be out there and win, and you'll be out there on third down with the ball coming to you more often than not.
Peter Bukowski, The Leap, Locked On Packers. The Packers play Thursday night. Quick turnaround. The Commanders come. And it's like, I think the Packers, without a doubt, had the most impressive win of the weekend. The Commanders did the same thing to the Giants. The Giants are not the Lions, but the Commanders took care of business. Like they did. Again, they had a business-like. They did what they needed to do.
Right.
After how big of a game this one was against the Lions, how big is it for a team like the Commanders, who beat the Lions in the playoffs last year, who surprised everybody last year, that they're coming to town? What type of statement could the Packers make with the Commanders coming into town?
I mean, think about the opportunity the Packers have. The Lions were the best team in the NFC last year in the regular season. They dispatched them in impressive fashion in week 1. And now an NFC championship team, a team that was in the Final Four.
Yep.
You have a chance to beat them through 2 weeks. It's going to be hard for anyone to match a resume like that through 2 weeks in the NFL. And so I think the bigger question for this team, and I said this earlier, is like the Browns game or some of these other games when you don't have the juice necessarily. But I'll also add, last year, I think teams that played the Lions were like 1-16 last year, the week after.
We made a crazy stat like that. It was insane. We made a big deal about that.
One of the reasons was that team kicked everyone's ass in the trenches.
Yeah.
The Packers did the ass kicking.
Yes, they did
on Sunday. So maybe it's not the same level of soreness. Maybe that's going to be the new Packer stat, is the teams after they play the Packers are going to be feeling it the next week instead of the other way around with the Lions.
I love that. And real quick, how do they deal with Jaden Daniels? Like, he's a different animal. I know the Packers have the athletes when it comes to Quay and Edge and Micah, but that's a whole nother element out there, isn't it?
It is, but I think that what we saw them against Jalen Hurts in the playoffs, it's contain him. You have to contain him. You have to, and then you're going to let Micah play off script a little bit, just because he's maybe the only true edge in the NFL that could run down Jaden Daniels in the open field. Yeah. And so you're gonna let him freelance a little bit, but this is a Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, just push the pocket, bull rush him, keep him hemmed in, and don't let him escape to make plays with his legs. That's going to be the key. You have to play fundamentally sound. But given the performance we just saw Jeff Hafley, I mean, this was Jeff Hafley's masterpiece in the NFL. You gotta build on it. You gotta prove it against an offense that was really good last year. I think they can. I think this offensive line for Washington is not great. And so go get after Jaden Daniels.
Peter Bukowski, co-founder of The Leap, host of Locked On Packers, tons of content out there, tons of podcasts out there. What's the easiest way to find your stuff?
Wherever you get podcasts, we're also on YouTube, and we just started doing this cool new thing on Wednesdays with Jeff Jagosinski, former Packers offensive coordinator, and Brandon Snide.
Nice. Okay.
7:15 Central Time, Lambeau time, every Wednesday, and then post game, a half an hour, Locked On Packers live after the game, and then an hour with me, Coach, and Brandon on an extra extended post game. It's a lot of fun. Come hang out on YouTube, and we'll see you there.
Awesome. Love it. Peter, thank you so much for taking the time today, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right.
Good way to start things. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
All right. He is Peter Bukowski, again, Locked On Packers, co-founder of The Leap. Great insight. And he reiterates, I think, the feelings of a lot of Packers fans right now is just awesome positivity, excitement, and the way it should be. We're going to talk some specific positions. We're going to listen to a little bit of what Matt LaFleur and some of the players said after the game. We got a lot more Packers stuff to get into, and some Brewers as well. Brewers are in Texas tonight after their sweep against Pittsburgh. Lyra Valkyria, WWE superstar. She's the first ever Intercontinental Champion, women's Intercontinental Champion. She'll join us in the 1:00 hour because Raw is in Milwaukee tonight. More Packers talk coming up. My name is Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. Our thanks to Peter Bukowski for joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. You're listening to The Fan.